dollars and cents segment. Think about all the bills you have to pay as an adult. Mortgage or rent, car payment, car insurance, health insurance, groceries, the list goes on. But what age should kids start learning about all of that and preparing for it? Well, it's a question one of our ARC Seattle viewers actually asked us. So we brought in financial advisor Adam Powell with the Private Advisory Group out of Redmond to help us out. He's down in the ARC Lounge right now with Steve. I love this topic.
I do too, and thanks to the viewer for sending that in. It was a very important question, one we both liked,
yes,
right, as we're gearing up for the end of the school year in just a couple of months. So I guess, that question that parents always have is at what age should you introduce money-saving habits to kids? What would you say in terms of the kid aspect? What age should they start? Early?
Early, for
Okay.
sure. Yeah, I mean, research shows that kids start having core memories about money at age 7.
Wow.
So,
okay.
and I think about that myself personally. I have some core memories of growing up with my mom and dad, and some of the memories are around money and the stress of it, actually.
Yeah.
I think about my family members in Bothell. They have 2 young boys. They actually have 3, but 2 young boys that are learning about money, and they have this jar where they got some money for the Chinese New Year. And the first thing the boys wanted to do was put the money in this jar because they were right. Because they were saving it for some walkie-talkies.
Yeah.
And so I love that they were teaching their kids young about the value of money, and they could see it and they could feel it.
Yeah, one example that always comes to mind is allowance. I mean, I didn't have that when I was a kid. That wasn't a thing in our household, but a lot of families do.
They do.
And it can teach an important lesson about money. What's the biggest financial mistake that parents unknowingly pass down to kids as they're aging?
Yeah, it's hard to pick just one. I can think of a few, but one that comes to mind quickly is that the emotions around money. Like sometimes parents may unknowingly say, like, I've had a hard day, I'm gonna go out and buy myself something.
Yeah, just to make yourself feel better.
Feel better, exactly right. And kids pick up on that, especially before they know the value of money. And they think, oh, if I'm having a bad day, I'm just gonna go buy something. And that can lead to some poor habits in the future. Other things parents do is they avoid even talking about money. They make it a taboo subject. And so when you do that, you leave those holes, your children are gonna fill them up with their own assumptions.
Yeah.
And so it's good to talk about money, not like lecturing, but 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, just talking about the importance of money, of saving, of setting goals and things like that.
Is there something that parents at home that are maybe watching this morning can do maybe this week to start instilling those financial instincts?
Absolutely.
What's that?
It's never really too late. A few things would be actually that money jar idea I was talking about. If your kids are younger, sometimes it's fun to label jars with like savings, spending, giving, or education, and just give them $5 and let them decide how they're going to divide up that money into which of those jars. And they can really then see what money does when they start saving it and how they spend it. Many times we don't allow our children to make small mistakes with money, and it's a lot easier to correct a small mistake before they make some big mistakes.
Yeah.
Another idea as well is to help them open up a checking account at a bank. Many banks offer what I would call a youth checking account, and it allows the parents to get alerts every time they spend, even $1, right? And so that they can help their kids make decisions based upon their decision that they made.
Yeah.
And that can allow them to have those 5-minute discussions. Again, no one likes to lecture.
Right.
But saying, hey, that's interesting, why did you make the decision? And have them just tell you why. And then you can understand how to better parent or guide them in the future.
It doesn't have to be a prolonged conversation,
No.
but little bits here and there can certainly add up over time. Say you're the parent of a teenager, let's say a 16-year-old, never had any conversations about money, that sort of thing. How do you start that conversation with that teenager? Is it too late, or can you start a conversation at that age?
You can. I would recommend that you start where they're at.
Okay.
Meaning, start asking them questions like, hey, what kind of a car would you want to buy, or clothes, or how do you think about funding for education, and see what their answers are. And you may be surprised that they've already been thinking about these things or have a plan, or that they really are clueless and don't know what they're going to do about these things. Then once you have a starting point, and again, you start where they are, then you can really frame your conversation around what they need at that time.
Okay. And I know that the transition from maybe a younger child to an older child, the conversations about money are going to be a little bit different.
Absolutely.
When you're talking about things like saving for a car, saving for college, when do you think those conversations should start with somebody under the age of 18?
Yeah, I'm thinking, 12. You know, I
Okay.
think really young. Not 7. They won't have any understanding about college and cars. But, you know, 12, 13, 14, they're going to start thinking about these things. They're going to start to want to go out with their friends to do events and go spend money themselves. So what a great time to maybe give them their own debit card and put, you know, $20, whatever, whatever figure you want into that account and see how they spend that money. And then they start developing habits on savings, education. And part of education is talking about what the expense is of education. If they have no idea how long it takes to save $15,000, then they need to have some type of a basic, like a math lesson, but talking about here's how compounding interest works, and start building upon that.
They're starting to learn about that over time.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Really good advice this morning. And again, thanks for that viewer for sending that in. And as Adam and I have said many, many times, it is never too late to start saving. So if you haven't started now, you can do it now. There you go.
Yeah, never too late. And I
That's right.
actually am super grateful. I was set up with a youth checking account way
was
back
I.
when, and
Yes.
definitely helped out.
Yes.